Okay, I call this meeting of the Seaside Planning Commission to order. We will be following the social distancing standards set by the CDC during this meeting, which includes masks, 6-foot separation, no handshaking or other physical contact, etc., etc. If you'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You. This is the time and place duly advertised for the Seaside Planning Commission to hold its monthly meeting. Agenda items can be initiated by the general public, any legal property owner, Seaside City Council, city staff, and the Seaside Planning Commission. Does anyone present feel the commission lacks the authority to hear any item on the agenda? Are there any corrections, deletions, or additions to the minutes from March 2nd, 2021? Hearing none, the minutes are adopted. It is the standard procedure for the members of the commission to visit the sites to be dealt with at these meetings. Do any of the commissioners wish to declare an ex parte contact or conflict of interest? Again, nothing heard. The following public hearing requirements apply to the items on our agenda. The applicable criteria for the hearing items are listed in the staff reports prepared for this hearing. Testimony and evidence shall be directed toward the applicable criteria listed in the staff reports or other criteria in the plan or land use regulation which you believe applies to the decision. Failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the decision maker and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals on that issue. The applicant will testify first, followed by any others in favor of the request. Then any opposition will testify, and then the applicant will be given time for rebuttal. Before testifying, please remember to state your name and address, mailing address for the record. The first public hearing item on the agenda this evening is 21-011 SUB. Mr. Planning Director.
Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting approval of a 4-lot subdivision at 410 Avenue G. The subject property is located at the northeast corner of South Edgewood and Avenue G, and the property is zoned high-density residential R3. Each of the newly created lots would be developed with detached single-family dwellings that would be accessed with separate driveways from Avenue G. The approximate size of the proposed lots will be Lot 1, 3,492 square feet, Lot 2 and Lot 3, 3,007 square feet, and Lot 4 would be 3,104 square feet. In addition to the land division, the applicant is also requesting a variance that will allow a reduction to the interior side yard setback, small lot size that would be consistent with the zero lot line setback provisions in section 3.045.1 and 5.070 of the Seaside zoning ordinance. In lieu of attaching each unit, the applicant is proposing to separate the units with combined yard separation of approximately 6.5 feet to 7 feet, and the lot sizes would exceed the 3,000 square foot minimum allowed under a zero lot line setback development. A 1-foot reduction in the street side yard along South Edgewood, that's Lot 1, is also being requested based on the neighboring property's current setbacks. This justification is similar to the prescriptive front yard exception allowed under Section 5.022 of the Seaside zoning ordinance. The subdivision review will be conducted in accordance with Section 5 of the City of Seaside subdivision and land partitioning ordinance and Article 10.070 of the Seaside zoning ordinance. The preliminary plan is subject to the information required in Section 7 and any applicable requirements in Section 8 through 10 of the subdivision ordinance. The variance will be reviewed in accordance with Article 7 and Article 10 of the Seaside zoning ordinance, which establishes the review criteria and procedures for a variance. Although the planning director can review variance requests, this request is being referred to the planning commission since they are required to hold a public hearing for the subdivision. Within the staff report, I've identified the review criteria and provided draft findings and conclusions. If you have any questions about the information in the staff report, I'll try and answer them.
Thank you. And do we have a representative here this evening who would like to speak in favor of the development? You can have a seat here. If you want to bring another seat up, you can both sit at the same time, or you've got to keep your 6 feet, so one at a time. We'll follow the rules.
But I already had COVID.
Okay, sure.
Plus, I've already got my shots.
And whoever's going to speak first, if you'll state your name and mailing address for the record, and then let us know what you have to say.
Mark Mead, 89643 Ocean Drive, Warrenton, Oregon, and I'm the engineer for the project. This site is 130 feet by 97 feet. It would have been 130 feet by 100 feet, but 3 feet was deeded to the city when the Avenue G Bridge was repaired in the late 1980s. I was city engineer at the time, and ODOT made us get that strip of land for some reason. We never figured out why, but it was a requirement for the bridge replacement. If you look at the size of the property, like Kevin said, it could be divided, could have up to 5 units on it. We're only proposing 4. We could do 2 duplexes, but having a common wall, if we can slide them apart and get some space in between them, it just makes for nicer units. And then for the 1 foot setback on the Edgewood side, the reason we're looking for that is just to make a nicer unit than we would be putting in. And the property to the north of it is like 5 feet off the property line. So we're not going out any further than the properties that are adjacent to this property. And the units be 2-story, single car garage, setback from Avenue G to give another parking space in front of the garage. And they're proposed to be 2-story, 3-bedroom, something over 1,400 square feet. I don't know what you got.
Jason Kraushar, 89652 Westlake Acres Drive, Warrenton, Oregon, 97146. I'm the owner of the property. I'm looking to build something that's more aesthetically nicer for Seaside. It's a single-family dwelling. Like they said, we could build 4 or 5 row houses. That's not what I'm intending to do. I'm not intending to build this thing out to the maximum capacity. I want to build 4 nice houses and have it look very pleasant from the street, and we'll finish the sidewalks and all that along. I want them to feel like they have their own single-family dwelling. I don't want them to feel like they're compact into an apartment complex or a duplex. So that's why we are going for the 4 houses instead of 5 and detached, so that they can have their own house.
Okay. Is that as much as you'd like to say just to
Yep.
start here?
Yep, unless
Okay,
you guys got
I'm
questions.
going to assume, and if somebody if I'm assuming incorrectly, that there is no one else who would like to speak in favor, and there is no one who would like to speak in opposition. Hearing none of either, we will now turn this over for discussion to the commissioners.
Well, Mr. Mead's already answered my one question on the 3-foot deed to the city, so.
I guess I'd just like a little more information on that in terms of where the sidewalk goes in relation to that deeded part. Is the deeded part something you can drive over or use as part of the driveway, or
Yeah, it's
what's
just-
the limitations on
It
it?
was deeded to the city for ingress, egress, and utilities, same as the right-of-way, but the city already had the right-of-way, so instead of expanding the right-of-way, you deed the little strip to the city instead, but it has all the requirements that you would have in the street.
Okay, so it's not like you have to avoid it in some way, or
No,
you can't use it,
no.
or,
No, it's just that at the time, ODOT felt that the right-of-way needed to be wider for that, when the bridge was repaired, and we gave up arguing at the city and bought the little strips from the owners, and because of the grant money we got to repair the bridge.
Okay.
Because the bridge was damaged in the tsunami in 1960, whatever that was, and it was sitting there not fixed until the late 80s.
okay. All right. And where would the sidewalk be in relation to where the deeded strip is shown on the map?
Sidewalk could be right back of the curb like you normally would.
But I mean,
So it would
looking
be-
at the map, where would it be located?
It would be
to the right?
located, the back of the sidewalk would be in that strip, the front of it would be in the right of way.
Okay.
Mike, if I can ask, my
So-
question would be, how many feet between the garage and the sidewalk?
Over 20 feet we'll have,
Okay.
because we want to be able to have a full car parking space in there.
That would be
That's-
nice.
That's the other parking question, is it says in your application, a couple places, that there are 3 spaces per unit. Where are 3 spaces?
You've got one in the garage, and the driveways, we could make wide enough to put 2 more spaces in. Or we could make them narrow for one space, but I think Jason was planning on making them a little wider so you could get 2 cars in the driveway.
Okay.
How wide is the driveway now, and looking at the map?
Right now, it's only drawn at 14 feet, but we were looking at making it 20 feet.
And
So
20 feet wide?
20 feet is a standard width driveway.
Okay.
So where you see that little jog in the front by the house, it would just come out straight from there, would give you the 20 feet.
So I guess I would ask Kevin if that leaves enough garden space or your front yard?
Well, there's no front yard, requirement unless someone's looking at doing a vacation rental dwelling.
right.
Oh, okay, so.
So if they were to reduce that to where they didn't have 50% of their lot landscape, then they'd be, I mean, they could actually have their vacation rentals denied.
I think you should make it as wide as possible.
The whole 30 feet.
I have two questions related. One to what you just said, and once again, if you widen the driveway to have the 2 spaces, and Kevin, do they need 3 spaces for 3-bedroom?
No, they need 2 off-street parking spaces, and I'm not certain, I didn't talk to Dale down to the finite review of how the accesses would go in. I'm not sure if he's going to require larger landings in between those properties so that you're not, or if he's gonna look at putting rolled curb. I don't have an answer for that.
If you widen the driveway, you would also widen the curb cut.
Right.
You wouldn't
Yeah.
be trying to maneuver cars. You would make a curb cut wider as well, the width
Yeah.
of the combined.
That curb's probably gonna come completely out.
Dale, and getting these approved and then going through a plan with the 3 of us, and Dale and Kevin and I, we were gonna try and figure out the best route for that. Dale's idea was put the accesses on this road, on Avenue G, which I wanted to make them all look, they'd have the same access from Avenue G, and that would alleviate a lot of the parking problems that he's having along there as well. So going off of his recommendation, as well as my own, because I wanted the driveways facing the south direction.
Right.
That we would then, by the time I go stake it all out and figure it out, I'll be able to see how wide I can actually get these driveways and make it look nice. I don't want a parking lot in the whole front of the whole thing. I want to have it look nice. We fully landscape every house we build before we sell them, so I don't leave them bare land. Everything's done. When someone's ready to move in, it's ready to go with grass and whatever we can fit in there.
Okay, well, I have one concern that it's just a concern. I don't think it's a deal breaker at this point, but just to bring it up in relation to the driveway exits. This is obviously a bridge street, so it's more than just a side street. It's a main thoroughfare,
Yeah.
throughway. And we're putting 4 backing out things on there, backing out driveways. Now, that's a little problem, just because of the nature of the street. It's ameliorated by the fact that across the street, there's no parking, and there's only one small entrance. And in your case, if you did widen those driveways to accommodate 2 cars in there, I think that would probably eliminate parking in front of the entire, which I think
That's
would
the
be a
goal.
plus
That's the
in
goal.
this case, so that there wouldn't be this chance of people backing out into a little busier street with cars blocking the view. Now, obviously, there's gonna be people are gonna park right up at the very end there.
Yeah.
Can't do anything about that, but I think that would maybe be a good way to go in order to accomplish that goal as well, to make it a little bit more easy for people to have good vision if they are gonna be backing out into a busier street, so.
That was the reasoning for widening the driveways.
Yeah, well, I
was
think
to
it
eliminate
would help.
parking.
I think it would actually help,
Yeah.
make this a little bit safer and.
Well, and also if you get, yeah, yes, I agree.
Kevin, what is the speed limit on Avenue G? I mean, it is an arterial.
25.
It's 25 residential.
Okay, because when
Yeah,
you're, I
but
noticed.
people zip through there.
Oh, I know they do. I was heading west on Avenue G, and of course, immediately after the bridge, there is a home. But I tell you, it's somewhat blind.
Yep.
Once,
There's a-
once you get past that corner, it's absolutely blind.
Yeah, which also brings up another point in terms of visibility, your request for a foot less on the corner. That's not as bad as it might otherwise be, because they're set back far enough so that you don't have that kind of issue for somebody turning. They're not gonna be blocked by the house being so close like we do have in some other areas, so I'm not,
At the corner, it's just the Edgewood side.
the Edgewood and G,
Edgewood.
yeah,
And then the house to the north of Edgewood is way beyond what.
yeah. But yours won't obscure the corner by being,
Right.
closer to the sidewalk or, it's set back far enough, so even though we're knocking a foot off, it doesn't cause visibility concerns for me, so.
That was another reason for putting the garage on that one away from the intersection, so it gives you more
Right.
visibility.
Yeah.
So if there's cars parked there, you still see
Yes.
around it.
Yeah, that's good. All right,
So this is referred to as micro-housing, is that right?
No,
No,
this is,
No, 1,400
the houses
square
we're
feet.
proposing
That's a
are
good
almost
size.
1,600 square foot.
a nice
three-bedroom. They're.
No, I'm
a nice
referring
house.
to the limited distance between the two
oh,
houses.
limited distance.
Okay. Are you affiliated with the project up on, I think it's Wahana?
Yeah, I am.
You are, okay, because this is very similar.
The pocket neighborhood?
Sort of, except for those have bigger side yards. Smaller
Right.
houses and bigger side
Yeah,
yards.
and they're just,
Smaller.
Yeah.
yeah.
I have another one of those for you next month.
John, did you have something to say?
I'm supportive of this.
I always have a little trouble with variances because reading the language, it's like, well, it has to be totally unique and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. I've come to the conclusion, sometimes with Kevin's assistance, that we can essentially do things and it doesn't mean we have to do the same thing with someone else. Everything is individual. If we make a decision this way, it doesn't require us to make exactly the same decision another time. They're different issues. So there's some things in the language which I think don't necessarily apply with this, but I think some of your answers were good, in terms of the fact that 3,000 is the limit if they were attached, and you're not
Right.
violating that. And it certainly isn't causing a problem, and I think it probably does look better this way. So I'm kind of inclined to, shelve some of my usual variance reticence to kind of feel like it's a good development and it fits. So I don't think I have a lot of objections to it, although I have questions about it all the time, just because of the way it's worded and, does it really apply here or that, but.
If you look at the houses in Mill Pond and Astoria, those are only 5 feet. These will be wider space between them than those are.
So let me ask, before any decision is made up here, is it safe to write down in ink that you will be widening the driveways to 20 feet?
It's gonna be I'm gonna have to figure out exactly how it flows, and it's gonna
Yeah.
go with Kevin and Dale. We have to figure out what they want. If they want the whole curb rolled, it's gonna have to be, we're gonna have to adjust it. I don't know if he wants that entire curb rolled, or if it's just gonna be certain approaches, and then there is an ordinance how wide I can do the approach, and I think 20 feet is the max, isn't it?
Well, 24.
24.
So something in between 20 and 24. We're just
What-
not sure what.
what,
That would Dale.
What possibilities do the owners of the property have for restricting parking on that street? Is it strictly up to the city, or can
Yes.
they?
Yeah, it's up to the city.
That if, but if the driveways are such that it eliminates the parking, then, it's
Well, I think
done.
that will happen if they make them double wide. If you didn't make them double wide, there probably would be space between the two center units,
It's
which would
close
kind
on
of,
that one.
violate what we're trying to do here in a way. So what she's saying is I would like to have the understanding that the construction, and I don't know if we can word it generally enough so that you have a chance to decide how to do it, that however they situate this, it creates no parking, essentially.
That's
The
why those-
configuration makes it impossible for there to be a full parking space on the street. Now, I don't know if we can word that in a general way, and then you figure out how to make that work,
A minimum
or if
of
we have to
18
say
feet.
something
Yeah, there's still
You do
gonna
a minimum
be,
of 18.
I just, my goal is to have some room for some landscaping as well. I don't want it to look like a concrete parking lot. I want these to look nice. I want them to look like a home.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
and I want to make them as wide as I possibly can, and I want to eliminate the parking on Avenue G as well, because I don't want the parking there. Some people park trailers there, they park big trucks there. That's not our intention. We want them, I mean, if these guys have more houses, or more vehicles than in their house, they can find somewhere else to park.
Yeah.
I would love to eliminate the parking on there as well. I just want to do it without
looking like you're trying to eliminate the
Right.
garden.
Right.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm wondering if we can, as part of doing this, somehow make that part of the, the requirements, but not make it in a way such that you have to do it the way we decide right at this instant. That you have some ability to look at it, but that's the requirement. However you
Yeah.
manage to accomplish
Do you,
it. Can we
do you
do
want
that?
to, do you want to just put that in as a recommendation that be considered by the Public Works Director when the accesses are being approved?
Can we
How
just
binding is
Condition
that?
or request?
paint that red? Or is that?
That's not me. That's,
That's,
Yeah, that's why I asked the question. That would be
That is
nice,
fire.
yes, paint the whole thing.
Kev-
Or put in a
Kevin-
little handicapped ramp
Have
some,
them
in the
paint it.
middle of the parking spot or something,
Kevin, like Robin said, would that be a request
I,
or a requirement?
I would feel more comfortable with a request, or at least that's what you'd like to see is the driveways, either the parking be eliminated or the driveways such that it eliminates parking. You can put that in as a request through to the Public Works Director when the accesses are being designed.
And regardless, my sense of it is that you would like to have these B3 car, one in the garage and two out front.
I
That's your preferred.
yeah.
do. They're just, they're narrow, and I want them to look good too. I don't want it to just be a box house. That's my whole goal. So yes, I do want to have 3 cars parking there.
And we don't
If
want,
possible.
we don't want people parking out on the street that are stopping to visit them and stuff too. So we're trying to eliminate that by giving extra parking.
I like that as well.
Off subject, where we're at, why did you decide not to do, like a multifamily housing?
It's not what I like. I prefer having single-family dwellings, and I think that our city needs more single-family dwellings.
We need a lot of housing, is what we
We
need.
need housing, yeah, and to me, I'm not the type of person that would live in a shared dwelling, with a common wall. And I think that they're more aesthetically pleasing being separated rather than putting them together. I mean, like we've already said, I could build these, I could build 5 of them together. I don't want to. I want to build 4 houses that people would be happy to live in. I'm not here to stretch the limits and get every last penny out of this. I'm here to make a nice little development, and that's typically what I do is 3 to 4 houses at a time, and the whole development looks really nice, and it's something that I'm proud of when I'm done.
And this site
like that.
really doesn't lead to a lot of multifamily where it's at. I mean, because you're on the way to the, between the bridge and the ocean, so putting, just 4 of them on there in that particular spot with the traffic and everything else, where I've got another site I'm working on South Holiday for 60 units that you'll be seeing in a couple months. That site is, that's different because of the way the site's configured. But like this site, it just, I did a layout of 5 units on it several times and it just didn't look good.
Are you affiliated with Oceanside Oceanside Investments in Astoria?
Oceanside Investments is my company. We're here locally. It's,
Okay, because I know there was another Oceanside Investments with Blair Henningsgard.
That's Oceanside
He's my
with,
attorney.
with another name. It's got another word after
he's my
Oceanside.
attorney, yeah.
Yeah, it's got another word after Oceanside on
Okay, well, I guess where I'm at, and I think most of us, with the exception of that, my one issue, is that I feel it is a good development. I like what you're saying about the 4. I think it does work better. I think you've addressed the variance questions in kind of an elegant way that doesn't give me too much armor. But for me, I would like a little more assurance that we're not gonna have parking there somehow. I don't need to know how you're gonna do it right now, but I would like to have at least a little more assurance than just, hey, I'd like you to, in here, that will occur. And I'm not sure how we can
Some of the
make
stuff
that.
some of the parking might be eliminated too when they paint the ends. I would think they're gonna paint the ends red for,
Well, they do, because I don't think you can park that close to
so there's
to the
2
corner
that are
anyway.
gonna just almost disappear right.
I'm more
side of
concerned about
corner
the
is
center
painted.
section
It's a
here.
5-foot setback from the corner, isn't it?
No,
Nine.
it's
Nine.
25 feet, I think, is what it,
Well, I think it's painted back 10 feet now. I think.
there's a lot of red
From the
paint
corner.
there.
Okay.
Yeah, there is
And then the other
red
thing
already.
is, with our driveways being what they are, then they would also have the approach part of it, so that would take another 3 feet away each direction.
5 feet.
5 feet.
Yeah.
So that, what it looks like it's narrow, in between those, it gets, 10 feet of that gets taken away already from each approach. And then the same thing, there would be no way in between the two smaller ones. You couldn't get a car in there because of the approaches. It
Yeah,
wouldn't be.
maybe you could, like you could
Parkable.
flare it or
Yeah,
something.
you have a flare on each
Yeah,
driveway.
Yeah.
okay.
that
So
you
could
don't
we
normally
put,
count.
could we put into here that the resulting ingress egress plan will eliminate the possibility of parking in that area? And then that leaves it up to you to how you do it, either with flaring or making your drives or whatever. But we're saying, whatever you decide or however you manage it, the end result will be that there will be no available parking
Maybe I can talk
off-street.
Public Works into putting
The
a
intent,
fire hydrant there.
you could say the intent is no.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Good word.
like those two center units, maybe we end up with a 22-foot driveway instead of a 20 or something. We've just gotta work with Dale on
Right,
that and see how
yeah,
it fits.
whatever works, but the end result will be,
Yeah, no parking on Avenue
correct.
G.
So can we put that in there somehow, Kevin? That's,
I have it written down right now.
okay. I think that would address
Yeah.
the one actual concern I think I have. Any further discussion? Any other issues to raise? Are we ready to move to a motion?
I'm ready.
Who would
I'll
like
make a
to?
motion that we accept 21-011 SUB with the request that the driveways be between 20 to 24 wide. So this way that covers them.
Well, that's a little bit more specifically
No,
requiring.
because that's exactly what they said.
Well, actually, what I put down was the, the final ingress egress plan will eliminate parking on that portion of G.
That's all I need.
Equally.
Yeah,
That's
Would
fine.
that be, so
That's
adopting
fine.
the Kevin's condition
That's
to be
fine.
added to it? Is that's sort of amended, but then we have a
So,
motion?
but scratch what you're saying about saying that they have to be
Actual
20
distances.
parking.
Yes.
No, 20 to 24 per what Mr. Mead said.
about 20 and 24, what Kevin
Right,
says.
or with what Kevin said.
Okay.
Yeah, I specifically didn't want to put down the widths because I know that these are really narrow lots, and I don't know if Dale can even let them put in a 20-foot wide based on that lot width. So I didn't want to get into a specific, I was leaving it general in the condition.
With possible.
There you go. Robin just amended my motion.
Well,
Or an intended.
I'm happy with just the end result will be no parking on
Yeah,
the street.
there you
I don't need distances or talking about anything, how you know. So can we backtrack and get a motion that just says that?
That's fine.
Okay, we'll have a motion that says that.
I'll second.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do we understand what we're doing? Okay.
You're not done yet,
No?
because that was, that was 21-011. It didn't include the variance.
So we have to do that separately. And so do we have any further discussion on the variance, or are we, okay, we'll entertain a motion for the approval of the variance?
I'll make a motion that we approve 21-010 Victor on the variance.
Have a second? Second? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes also. All right.
Happy
I
building.
think it'll work.
I'm excited. That's gonna be a nice to that lot.
You putting your name on the list?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Terry.
I can't afford to live.
All right, thanks, guys. You're gonna disappoint a lot of dogs, though.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gonna get killed on the lumber alone.
All right, we'll move to ordinance administration.
I just want to make sure the planning commission is aware that coming up at our next meeting, we're at least going to have 5 items on the agenda. We're not going to have John, I just found out, and so we may have an additional planning commissioner appointed prior to that meeting.
When is that? When's the next meeting?
May
That's May 4th.
4th.
Because I may not be here.
There might not be a, there might
What-
not be
what's
a
a
meeting.
quorum, Kevin?
Because I might not be here neither.
What is it, 4?
Yep.
Okay.
Can we do it?
Might not be
Schedule,
here.
I'm supposed to be scheduled for surgery on the 3rd.
Ooh.
We'll just bring you on Zoom, you know? We'll
Sounds
wake
good
you
to
up,
me.
give you something to wake you up. and-
Yeah, we haven't figured out a way to do a total hybrid meeting, and that has been discussed actually at council now. But we don't have hybrid meeting capability. We can either Zoom the meeting or we can have the meeting in person, but we can't do a split on it. In fact, I'm not even sure how we do the notice for the split, but that's actually being discussed right now with council and staff.
Is it possible to reschedule it to a different Tuesday, like just the following Tuesday, maybe?
Let's see, the following Tuesday, because
Be the 11th.
like John, I'm getting ready to actually go to Hawaii too, so, and that's that month,
Let's put that on all our agendas.
so
Just have the meeting.
I
in the morning.
go,
Well, or we could just change it to our workshop Tuesday, yeah.
yeah, the workshop won't work because I won't be here. Well, it would work, I just won't be here.
I'm not gonna be here either.
So May 4th, it would be possible to actually do it May 11th if the council chambers are open. Would that work better for you, Terry?
Yes,
And John, would you be back then?
Yeah, I'm back on the 5th.
Okay. So,
And Lou, you'll be recovered by then?
I don't know, it's a hip replacement.
oh, you'll be up walking around.
Well, I don't know. I may not want to be walking too
With
much.
chains or something.
so that would ensure that we've got Terry and Chris and Robin and John, provided he doesn't get killed by a billfish in Hawaii.
And
Kathy.
possibly
And
a new person.
And possibly Kathy and
Oh,
the,
Kathy too.
a new appointee. So if you want me to work on trying to reschedule that, I can do that, and we can just try to do it on that date.
That sounds like the 4th is kind of toasted.
Yeah.
So
Okay, well, I'll work towards that, and if not, then we'll just have to hope that, so we know we're not gonna have Lou. Terry, you're not sure you won't be here?
I'm not positive. but
Okay.
The 11th is a lot better.
But we know we won't have John, so I'll work on trying to get it on the 11th, even though that's the day before I leave, but that's fine.
Thank you.
That'll just encourage me to get everything done the week prior.
Test and everything done.
Prepared.
Yeah.
Okay, public comments. There is no public at the moment. Planning Commission and staff comments.
Well, I already told you what my
Yeah.
comment was gonna be.
Hope that goes well.
So do I.